everybody, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back for another episode of Double Dare You. And this is a monthly series where my friend Laura over here on on YouTube and I, not Facebook, YouTube and I share a challenge that we issue to each other as well as all of you on the first Friday of the month, and then we come back on the third Friday of the month and show you how we have taken on each other's challenge. So my challenge for Laura and all of you today is to create your own background, like your own background paper. So I don't necessarily want you to use all pattern paper, but like use your stamps, use mixed media, use something to create your own background. So I have taken the Journals for Life latest release, which is the Unity collection, and created this stamped background. So in that particular collection, they had this stamp set that has all of these like silhouettes of ladies' faces, or like heads, I guess you could say. And so I took a bunch of ink colors from Catherine Pooler and combined them together to create this background. So I just kind of randomly added them throughout the layout. There's also a little stamp in that stamp set that says BU, so I stamped that in black. And then I also added some little hearts to the background. So I did all of that before I came on video because it takes a little bit of time to stamp an entire background. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab the ephemera pack that also came with this Unity collection, and I'm just going to see if there's any of these pieces that I can make work. So I've taken the pattern paper that I created and added a little black border, and then I put it on top of that Maggie Holmes green paper in the background. And this is just a 4x6 picture of my sister at her bridal shower, so she's just basically opening gifts. And so I don't have a huge story that I necessarily want to tell, so I just want a couple of embellishment clusters and then as well as my big title kind of along the bottom. So I'm just playing around with which of the ephemera pieces are going to work in the clusters that I have. And if I feel like they have a little bit too much of a white border around them, I will often trim that area off. And so it kind of depends what like collections and designers you're working with. Sometimes they have a little bit extra white space around the edge and sometimes they don't. So I will sometimes trim that off. And I really liked this traveler's notebook paper that also came in this collection, but putting it behind my photo kind of felt like too much, like almost like too much busyness on top of the pattern paper that I had created. So instead I'm going to go ahead and tuck a little piece of it in the top and the side before you get to that green pattern paper, and I like that a lot better. So it doesn't kind of create that really busy feeling when I tuck it in there instead. So then I'm just kind of playing with tearing some edges here. I was trying to decide if I wanted my photo mat to be larger because I was having a hard time putting the ephemera on top of the background that I had stamped. So I was in my head kind of thinking, okay, well maybe what I can do is make a larger black mat because that will kind of break up that stamping and my ephemera to give a little bit of separation and kind of make it stand out. So then I went ahead and grabbed that pink and white stripe, and you can kind of see the difference when I start layering my ephemera. It just stands out more. So it's not going to take away from the background or from the photo, but it is going to let that ephemera kind of feel intentional and look like it has a place on the layout. It's also going to give me a nice place down there on the bottom where my ripped layers are that I can build a title. So that's kind of like an extra bonus. So sometimes if you're feeling like your layout is just a little bit too busy, try this idea of making like an oversized photo mat, because that tends to give you some extra room to play with and it breaks up that busier background a little bit better. So it's just a little tip that might help if you're making your own stamped background. So I'm super excited to see what you come up with, what Laura comes up with. Make sure you also stop by her channel and see what she is challenging me and all of you also to do this month, because she always has super creative kind of ways that she wants to challenge all of us as well. So I went ahead and took some of these little puffy phrases and I'm just kind of adding them to my embellishment clusters. So things that I feel like will work with my embellishments and my photos. And I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay, I'm going to leave the dog barking in because this is like attempt number 4 to record this video. So I'm sorry. Don't yell at me about the puppy in the background. All right, so I'm using these foam letters from Paige Evans because I want to write out the words pure joy. And I thought it was kind of fun in the multicolors because it adds like I don't know, pulls the stamping and the pattern paper and all of that stuff together. And so I'm just finding the letters so that I can spell out that title at the very bottom of my photo cluster. And that's really going to do it for this layout. So when you create a background that has a bunch of stamping or a bunch of mixed media and you've created your own background, you kind of can go with a little bit more minimalistic embellishing. I do have this little piece of cut file that I felt like, hey, this might add a little something. So I am going to go ahead and tuck that into like behind my layers. And I do like how that looks. I feel like that breaks it up even a little bit better. And so we have True Joy as our title. We have that little piece of cut file that I'm kind of getting into those two little layers. And I seriously, you guys have been cutting up this one cut file for like 4 different layouts. And I think this is the last little piece I'm going to be able to use. So that's just my little plug in there to cut up your cut files, spread them across lots of layouts, have some fun, make something you love, take on this challenge to create your own background, and I will be back to see you guys again really soon. Bye, everybody.